It's now time for the news of the week.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your news of the week. The Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, approved a 27-month standby arrangement with Jamaica on February 4. It amounts to US $1.27 billion. A disbursement of about US $640 million became available to Jamaica immediately. The IMF agreement is meant to support the government's economic program, which has three primary components: a fiscal consolidation strategy to streamline expenditure, a comprehensive debt management strategy, and legislative reform to further strengthen the financial system. The facility will run through to the end of the 2011-2012 financial year. The governments of Jamaica and China have signed agreements valued at over US $500 million for infrastructure development. They cover the construction of affordable housing solutions, road repair and rehabilitation, including the Palisados roadway, and shoreline protection. There is also a deal for the construction of a Chinese garden at the Hope Botanical Gardens.
Jamaica has lost one of its most gifted sons, someone who has represented so much of the transition that we have sought from an old colonial past into a new era of confidence as an independent nation.
He loved his country. He loved Caribbean people. He dedicated his life to the promotion of Caribbean culture and identity.
On February 3, Vice Chancellor Emeritus of the University of the West Indies, Professor the Honorable Ralston Rex Nettleford, died at the George Washington Hospital in the U.S. after suffering a heart attack a week before. Prime Minister Golding and Minister Grange were among numerous national and cultural leaders that have since paid tribute to the intellectual and cultural icon. Opposition leader Portia Simpson Miller hailed him as one whose life trajectory testifies to the success that is possible through grit, determination, resilience, and smartification within the Jamaican cultural environment of which he wrote so eloquently. Born on February 3, 1933 in Falmouth, Nettleford co-founded the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica in 1963 and has served as its artistic director, choreographer, and lead dancer. Among his many awards in life was the Order of Merit, Gold Musgrave Medal, and the Living Legend Award from the Black Arts Festival in Atlanta, the United States. Those are just some of the stories making news here in Jamaica in recent days. Join us next time for the latest news of the week.
As mentioned earlier, Issues and Answers returns this week to explore the important question: is Jamaica ready for a natural disaster, such as the one which rocked Haiti and crumbled Port Royal's infamous past?
So Jackson, good to be talking to you again. But before we go into our discussion, we want to hear what some of the people on the street have to say about Jamaica's preparedness for an earthquake.
We are not really prepared 100%, but at least we have some awareness of what can happen or what is taking place.
I really don't think that we're prepared as much.
For hurricane, I think they're really prepared, but for the earthquake, I don't think they're really prepared for it.
I used to live in Portmore, and every time like a vehicle passes, the house shakes, which means that the foundation is not really sturdy enough. So if a bus is passing and the place is shaking, imagine what would happen if we have an actual earthquake. So I don't think that we're prepared any at all.
It's just a matter of coordination for the most part, but they are prepared in some way or the other.
Somewhat, I think we are.
Our preparation is strong. Our buildings are good. Very good buildings we have.
I have my doubts that we are fully prepared. We need to do a lot more work. People need to be more aware of what's happening around them. And when we do have actual warnings about earthquake or hurricanes or whatever it is, then we need to take things more serious.
Well, we have heard the people, at least some of them. Some people feel that we're not quite prepared. What is the truth?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at preparedness, and you know, something that we've always been speaking to. We are not as prepared as we would want to be, certainly not. And I mean, one has to look at the fact that we are developing economy, developing country. We have our own problems in terms of fiscal space. We also need to look at, and some of the persons on the street spoke to it, we also need to look at the spatial representation of the areas that are vulnerable to seismic events, Kingston being a case in point, and Portmore. That was alluded to in the views from the street. Now, that is an element of preparedness as to how well built your facility is, how you build, where you build in relation to how the ground will react to a seismic event. Interestingly, they also it was a broader issue of preparedness looking at hurricanes, and there was the view that we were better prepared for hurricanes and more well rehearsed. On the seismic issue, how well can one be prepared? You can have the best laid plans, and we have an earthquake management plan. It's a plan that we're reviewing. We started this review process last year with a number of workshops, a number of training activities, and since the earthquake in Haiti, looking at the lessons learned from Haiti to look at some of the strategic interventions that have to be made. So it's something we have been doing constantly in terms of reviewing these plans. But one now has to look at the capacity of our first responders and the resources that they will have at their disposal. So yes, we have a coordination mechanism that has been tested for hurricanes. We see where it works, and there are some limitations. We have capacity within the agencies, because it is this capacity that was deployed to support Haiti. 10 firemen who proved very instrumental in the search and rescue operations, or JDF personnel who is still on the ground operating, the Ministry of Health, the doctors. Now that's in Haiti. We now need to look at if a catastrophic event.
Kind of simulation.
Yes, but a simulation under what I would say normal conditions for Jamaica, because we are transporting our human resources into Haiti to respond to that event, and that's an easier scenario compared to if it were here in Jamaica. And that is why I say, how well can one be prepared for an earthquake? Because you do not know exactly what are the challenges you will face, who will survive the event, how will the governance mechanism respond to this scenario? How will the coordinating mechanism respond to this scenario?
But I'm sure you would have various scenarios as disaster mitigation planners.
Yes.
And therefore, as a result of the various scenarios, you can have an idea of the level of preparedness.
Certainly, and it's something we have been doing. What we need for our scenarios now is for them to evolve to the point where they are utilizing more data, the spatial data, data about where what types of houses are, and how these buildings, and how these buildings will behave on the substrata depending on the type of magnitude and depth of the earthquake. And that is where we need more work to be done. And that is where resources need to be provided for agencies like the earthquake unit.
That's right.
For them to be able to provide us some of this information on the ground acceleration and so forth, where we have monitoring stations on buildings such as the Ministry of Health buildings. So while, as I said before, the training, the knowledge, the capacity, the mechanism for coordination is there. And
that's there.